Hi, everybody. This is Ryan McNeil and the Builder by Day podcast. Today, I'm having a chat with a good buddy of mine, Lee Hallett. How you doing, Lee?
Hi, Ryan.
Lee is the owner and operator of Duart Hardwood Stairs. Is that what you're doing?
That's
Duart
right.
Hardwood Stairs. Okay.
Yeah.
And what that means is Lee provides the hardwood staircases and finished staircase product in all the homes that we build. So I'll take a minute to explain to everybody how that works, and then we'll dive into our conversation. But then that way people realize where exactly you fit in the building process for anyone that's curious.
Okay.
So, because it's different, like around in different parts of the world, people handle staircases differently,
Very
different
much.
time, it happens at a different time in the process and so on. But for us, when the house is somewhere after it has been painted and before it is finished, your guys show up and install this lovely hardwood staircase, or several of them as it may be. And so Duart Hardwood Stairs provides the material and installation of all of the beautiful staircases that you see in any of the homes that we build. And you do them all, and you've done them all. I've actually never used any other staircase builder.
Good job.
Yeah, I don't price shop my boy here. I don't shop him around. I don't torture. Well, I do torture you.
You keep me in line.
I keep you in line.
fairness,
Yeah.
when things look a little crazy, you wonder why, and I have to explain.
Sure. But that's fair, right?
That's
I'm fair with
if
you.
you're a businessman, you have
That's
to keep an eye on your fries.
If only the people that we've elected to be in charge of this country would set friendship aside and do what's in the best interest of the company or the country, rather than what's in the best interest of their buddies all the time, maybe we wouldn't be broke. Right?
That's
Anyway,
a conversation worth having.
that's a conversation worth having.
I
Anyway,
think we might be heading that way soon.
yeah, that's right. Anyway, thanks for being here, buddy. I know you, this is new to you, right? First podcast.
First podcast.
But you listened to this one.
I listen
you're
to
familiar.
many podcasts. I listen to all of yours.
Excellent.
Very, very informative.
And I don't pay you to do that. I don't pay you to do that.
You do not know.
You didn't listen to them all last night. You've been listening to them for a couple
I
months.
listened to them from day one.
That's nice. That's good stuff.
We have a small industry. We all know each other. Whether it's we work together or we're competitors, there's a mutual respect for everybody in the business. We know it's a tough business,
That's
and
right.
we know it's a process, and we know that we have to get along to make it work.
That's right.
And give the end user, being the home owner, in the end, their beautiful product.
That's right. You do a good job with it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
So how long have you been, how long have you been the owner of Duart Hardwood
I
Stairs?
purchased Duart Hardwood in 2010 from a mutual friend of ours. I played golf with, Jeff Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
He was going through some personal trauma, and I think he was at the end of his time there. And he was looking for someone to purchase the business, and I had already been in the construction business through my expertise at this point, and still is the heating, ventilation, air conditioning, refrigeration.
Which we'll talk to. I'll
Yeah, we
come
can
back
talk
to
about that for a
sure.
minute.
Yep.
So I was already in the business, and it seemed like a good fit because I'm in the houses putting the roughing in for ductwork and the heat pumps. I mean,
Right.
I'm doing the design, and I'm sizing up the systems, and I'm finding clients to work with. So I kind of knew the process, and I've been around the industry for a number of years. So it seemed like a good fit just to have one more widget, we can call it that, to go in these homes where I've been fortunate enough to be working in for so many years.
And how's the stair business?
It's very good now. It's been a struggle when I first.
It's up and down.
That's a good one. Yeah, someone had to say it. It's up and down.
I threw it out there, man. I was like, I lobbed that out there for you. I lobbed it out there for you.
I was telling people I wouldn't use
made
that
me
one.
do it.
It's an up and down business, but no, it's been mostly up. There's been some downsides.
There's been some downs.
In the beginning, I mean, it was rough. I purchased it with, let's just say, the clientele wasn't the kind of people that I could necessarily see a future with because they weren't growing their business, and they were kind of cherry picking when and how they would use sub trades, and I didn't see relationships. So, my goal, I guess my day-to-day thing would be building relationships and working with people that I have a trust with. They know I do a good job, and they also do a good job, because there's a lot on the builder to keep the process rolling, for everybody to finish their job on time and ultimately get paid. And that's the kind of people I like to align myself with. So it took a long time to get to find the right group of people that I work with and have a mutual partnership, and it seems to be working.
Yeah, that's good. Glad to hear it.
And
I mean,
you've been with me from day one. You're the hat trick. You're my top three. So,
that's good.
yeah,
That's good. That's good, man. I'm glad to hear things are going well, and we'll come back to let's stay on stairs for a bit, but we will come back to let's touch on the heat pump stuff and ventilation and so on. And it's all of that is useful information for anybody listening. So on the stair front, just let me illustrate for any of my listeners or potential clients of ours, so they understand kind of when you come into the picture and how the staircase stuff works. So it would be in our world, what we do is, which many builders do here, of course, probably all the builders that you deal with, is that for any home that we're building, we will, to the best of our ability, match the hardwood staircase to whatever flooring it is that we've installed in the home.
Correct.
And even if the flooring's not wood, the flooring could be a laminate product, for instance. And you guys do a good job at that. And that's not something that happens everywhere in the world when people build homes. Like sometimes you just, you have your stock treads or way of doing, or carpeted stairs. But
correct.
the process for us would be, for our clients, is they would, when the time comes, they'll go make their flooring selections. And once they've selected their floor, someone from our end communicates that floor selection to you. And then you match your stain to the floor that they've selected, and in goes the hardwood staircase. Treads and risers and rails and spindles. And we have some options there. You provide some options for people to make some different selections, and newel posts and the type of handrail and the type of spindles. And we engage you when that time comes. And usually that's a pretty straightforward process. You get sometimes that we do some of these Hollywood stairs and that we've done in the past that are a lot more work for all of us.
Yes.
Not necessarily probably your favorite thing to do. Not our favorite thing to do either, to be honest with you, because I find the further you get from the norm or the standard, I guess if you want to call it that, the greater the chances are that what that person's picturing in their mind versus what is going to be on site starts to differ. That happens in everything, whether it's staircases or just anything to do with the home design itself. The further somebody asks me to stray into sort of uncharted waters or something we don't do a lot, the less comfortable I am with it. And you probably find the same thing with the stairs.
I'm same. That's a bridge I prefer not to die on at times. I will do those custom jobs. I have the right team in place that can do these, high end custom Hollywood, whatever you want to call it. But I think all of our jobs are high end and custom to
yes, of course. Yeah, it's all that's a relative term. Sure.
It's just they're time consuming. They're more material. The labor is extensive. But there are homes and people. That's what they see, and that's what they they won't let it go. So we will step up and do those when we have to. For if it's a person that is a teammate of mine that I work for, well, I won't not do that. But there are people in the city who kind of. That's their bread and butter. They're very niche in that, the glass and the steel rail. Yeah. And I do have relationships with a few of those installers that I would, kind of refer that work to them. And in a few jobs, I would provide the wood, the custom treads, the 3-inch thick, whatever it has to be, whatever profile, and then work with that other installer and say, here's your material, we stained it, and then he goes and does the install. Yeah, yeah. It's just time consuming for us because we're so busy with our group of partners that it's difficult and challenging to tie up one of our installers for 3 weeks on a job where there's we're doing we're 6 days on average on a 2-staircase house. So we need that time. Yeah, it's I explained it one time to somebody who was at the early planning stages when we were talking about, because oftentimes people will bring up staircases even before we've even drawn the house. Could be one of the first meetings I have with them. They talk about cabinets and floors and what's included and what's not included and what's the standard. And I've had folks bring up, take a photo and spin around this photo of something that looks like it's from a $5 million home in Southern California. Pinterest, Southern California. Like, different codes. There's a whole bunch of...
exactly. Especially with stairs, you have entirely different things in different parts of the world, building codes and things that are allowed here and not allowed there, or vice versa. So I've explained to a few folks before, I'm like, the staircase is obviously it's important, aesthetically it's important, and oftentimes can be a major feature in the home, oftentimes because of where it's situated in the home. It's like right there in the middle of the house, sometimes right when you walk in the front door, whatever.
Well, our slogan is handcrafting the focal point of your home. Duart Hardwood Stairs.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I don't tell that to the kitchen guys too much, but
yeah, they would debate.
They would debate that, obviously, because sure. As everybody knows, you spend all your time in the kitchen, eating, sure. cooking, but stairs are functional. People see them, and it's a piece of furniture, and people have to go up and down them to get to the next level. So
people notice. People definitely notice. The
they're important. I mean, people take time picking selections, and they like what they like. But when the staircase is done up and it's stained to match, or it's an off color, just to contrast what's in the floor, sure. it pops. People really enjoy that, and they look at it, and our installers are very, very well done, mm-hmm. and they're not hearing the creaks like we had growing up in our old houses. So
yeah, exactly.
We take pride in it, and again, like the kitchens, we're coming in, we're a finished product when we leave. People really take notice of it, and we're proud of our work. And it's a very important piece of the finished product in the house. But also important is, before we get to put the stairs in, is the foundation square, the framing's proper. There's so many other team players mm-hmm. before we even get there, the drywall. Like, things have to be done properly, as you know, in the sequence. And by the time I get there to measure them, was the framing done correctly? Do we have to modify the framing?
That's right.
Because it's a code issue. It's a safety issue.
And we've had... Not often, but we've had times in the past where, you installer might show up or you show up and go, we got a problem here with this set or that set, and we got to send a framer back to tear stringers out, or it doesn't happen a lot. But
doesn't happen a lot. A lot of times we
doesn't happen a lot in our world.
Fix on site, and your guys on the ground, like Glenn, for example, he's very good at catching stuff early mm-hmm. because he knows the difference, so he can pick up on it and say, no, that's not right, fix mm-hmm. that. And by the time I get there, if we have to build them up, or just a couple little level out a couple of spots, that's part of the job.
Yeah.
Our installers sometimes complain about that, but it's just part and parcel.
That's right. So what I was saying earlier, I don't think I finished my thought, is I'll get folks that will come to me sometimes. We're having a conversation about building a home, and they'll show me a staircase from something that, again, looks like it's in a different part of the world. And sometimes what happens is they'll have this photo of a staircase they want to put in a house, and they might be building a lovely home that's really nice and large and has, it could be $1 million+ home. But they spin a photo around and show me a staircase from something that's in a $10 million home. But you can't just suck these elements out of a house and put them in a different house in a different country, in a different province, whatever it might be. It's just, you can't do that. You just can't pick and choose elements, especially high-end, highly skilled, handcrafted elements, and put it in a different home. And you mentioned about homes that builders that use a lot of things like steel and a lot of glass and so on, and same thing with the staircase. And they tend to line up, right? You get a very modern, a modern style or modern type of home, and it has lots of glass and steel and flat roofs and all these things. And sure, it has the same kind of staircase you might picture with glass rails and open risers and different things. And they look cool and they're neat. I don't disagree with that, but it's difficult to just sort of grab these elements that don't belong and stick them in there, and for the most part, the people we work with are, sensible, can be sit down face to face. You can explain these things, and they. And even if you can do it, there wouldn't be many people in this marketplace, and if they are, they're probably dealing with the very few number of builders that build one or two homes at a time that are. It's oftentimes the commercial guys that build these more commercial looking buildings.
Yes.
And then they put in these commercial staircases, basically is what we're referring to, or some of these staircases that are different from what we're used to. And it's just a different element. Like the staircases that we put in the homes, in all the homes that we build, which you install, and would be the same for other builders you do. Like these are beautiful staircases. People notice them because they're handcrafted wooden elements. Like wooden and some different.
People love wood,
and
there's a price to it. It's a little bit more expensive than going the traditional carpet original days, but with environmental and dust and things like that, people just do not like carpet.
Right.
So we with hardwood, we work with birch and maple and oak, and what drives the species for most homes is the floor. So I'll talk to Derek at Taylor, and once I get the floorboard in my hand, I know right away what species will be a better stain match, and then we go from there. And that kind of drives the bus on the species. But typically in our bills, and with a few of my clients, it's one of the three that I mentioned, and the flooring company always drives the bus on that, unless the homeowner wants something totally different than the floor.
Right.
Then we would maybe select a different hardwood for that. But
Yeah. You guys do a good job of matching up, making the judgment call on what species of wood is going to take the stain the best. Or
and it
most
gets
similar to-
repetitive.
sure.
When we see something off ball, we'll stop, put the brakes on, and we'll pull the homeowner in and say, look, this is these laminates are tricky, so this is as close as we can get this. So we're going to have you okay this and prove it.
Yeah, sure. You choose a laminate that has infinite number of
whites
shades
in
of
there, and these
gray.
different colors
Yeah, sure.
and grays, and then there's tones, and they think they're going to get these tones in the birch. Well, no, you're going to get one tone, and this is what you have to live with.
That's right.
And I've ran into several of these on your jobs over the years, but we seem to make them work out.
We make them work
one way or another.
Make 'em
But
work.
and again, this comes back to the communication with the homeowner, what they're expecting.
That's
So
right.
it's nice for them to put eyes on it.
Just so you know, in my contract, in my specifications in the contract in the homes that we sell, I actually under the staircase section, I actually put a clause in there that says, we will match the flooring to the best of our ability, but it says something, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's very clear, and it says, but, it will not be an exact match.
Yeah, that's exactly what it says.
It's not possible.
That's exactly what it says.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's
I
just a
love
matter of
that.
being,
I actually try to share that with a few of my other clients. Say, look, guys,
you can either tell people now, you can either lay it out for people now, looking, just so you know, we're not going to be able to match that birch staircase to this
white
printed
oak,
laminate product that's
white
been
oak
glued
printed
down.
Chinese
That's right.
hardwood. For,
That's right. It's
a
impossible.
picture of a
Impossible.
color. Excuse me. And it's yeah.
So as long as they know you set the expectation, they know that going into. I can't remember the last time we had an issue like that where somebody was unhappy with the stain matchup.
Just your house. I had to go back there a couple times and say, "No, dude, this is the color."
No, that wasn't a stain. That wasn't a stain color. That was my OCD. Remember, everybody put the rails in.
Joking,
I was losing sleep over that.
I'm joking. Yeah,
right?
I know.
I could see it from the. I didn't even have to. Before I pulled in the driveway, I could see the rails in my brain.
That's funny.
It's all good now, though. We got to correct it.
Yeah.
Small problem, easy to correct.
There's no problems, only solutions.
That's right. And you deal with your installers. You're dealing with very skilled labor there. So it's not like it's not like you can just post an ad looking for staircase installer, and they're all just floating around out there.
Achilles heel in the business.
That's right.
For us and probably for a few trades, obviously. But the higher the skill, like the cabinet guys who build cabinets, the stair builders. I always
Trim guys.
equate that to the neurosurgeons of the carpentry world. They are very skilled and they do it every day, so they get very efficient at it. But it's feast or famine, so it's not like it's unlimited amount of work for them. So there's some weeks they work,
Right.
they're working 3 days.
Right. And they're generally in there by themselves. They set up. They got to go in and set up all the gear and
Bring them, and
Truck all
until
the-
recently, I started to deliver their product for them, but they were going to pick the product up, unload it. And these guys are getting old. They've been around a long time. Some of them, we have some younger ones, but it's a lot of work when they lug their tools and then they lug the stair product in and they start. It's a big job.
Yeah.
It's a
One
very,
thing. One thing that I will say as a sidebar. We're talking hardwood stair installers, and you brought up neurosurgeons, and that just in general, I think we, as a society, we should recognize when people have a skill set, and we should appreciate that skill set and realize that it takes a certain amount of time to do it, and not everybody knows how to do it, and whether they're doctors or surgeons or stair installers or custom trim guys
dentist,
or framers or siders, doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Anyone who has a particular skill that they've honed and they're very good at, and they're efficient with it, and they provide good service and good product, and that's what makes the world go around.
That's what makes the world go
That's what makes the world go around. And recently we talk about, you and I have had lots of conversations about this, as has the whole world and everyone in this country. We talk about how we have to bring people in and we need more workers. But just so we're clear, I agree with that 100%. We need to, if there's a void, if we have a gap. I had a conversation with Scotty, and I talked about this when he was on here, and I had a conversation with a few other people a couple weeks prior to that in the construction industry that we're having conversations about the lack of labor according to them and so on. But bringing folks in to do work is one thing, but bringing people in to do skilled labor is quite totally something different.
100%.
And you can't I have a real appreciation for what anybody does. Like there's a natural hierarchy that manifests in our world, in the contracting world, right? You have, I'm not saying this I'm not trying to pump my tires here, or whatever, but you know how it works. There's the natural hierarchy when it pertains to the business relationship. I don't mean at a personal level. I mean as a business relationship. You have your contractors or your builders, and then they have their sub-trades and suppliers, and then the sub-trades and suppliers may even have their own subcontracts or sub-trades that they use. And you might have that relationship even with some of your installers, right?
Correct.
Where they are independent.
They are.
They provide a certain service, and I sub out the staircase to you. You sub out the installation of said staircase to this installer.
Yes.
And then he or she shows up and does their thing. But I part of this is probably, comes with age, I guess. You get older and wiser and so on. But I look around the world, man, I'm very quick to recognize somebody who has a particular skill. And it doesn't have to be the highest of skills. It just has to be something that they...
skill.
Yeah. Something that they do that is necessary and valuable, and not everybody can do it.
Well, I have that appreciation, as you do, with everybody from when they dig the hole to when the homeowner gets the key.
Yes.
Because when we walk into a job site, the guy doing the taping, the person in there doing the drywall, the electrician, like everybody is a very important piece of the puzzle.
Yes.
So no home gets built. So there's no, and I've said this over the years to everybody, like you have a skill set and you're very good at it. And I appreciate it, because if you didn't do your job, we couldn't get to do our job.
Right.
It's a domino. So, and I agree with that. I think that gets lost sometimes. So like, you see some guys on job sites thinking their job is more important than the other guy.
Right.
And it's like, well, guys, think about this. Who did the foundation? He might be the most important guy because we're standing on his work.
Sure.
So, I think it's in a home, building a home, there's so many moving parts, but it is chronological, like not chronological, but it's an order that has to happen for each of us to be successful.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, I think we have to appreciate everybody's skill set, but I'm not going to do siding. I'm not going to go do roofing.
Right.
Someone has to do it.
Right.
It has to be done.
Yeah, I've said that before I've mentioned that before to people where, because people are often pretty quick to get critical about something when it comes to, even within the process of building a home, they might say something like, it doesn't happen very often, but now and then you might get a client or a customer or even somebody else who's in the industry who's waiting on that person to finish their job so they can come in next, and they talk about how long it's taking for something to take place. And sometimes you just got to look at those folks and think, yeah, but do you have any idea what's involved in doing that? And do you think you could do it?
Yeah.
Right? Like you can't. That's why you're not doing it. No different than that staircase installer, for instance, who you think is taking too long. No difference than that person couldn't then go do your job tomorrow and do it as efficiently as you do it. But I have a real appreciation for the skill set of everybody, and I see it every day. Part of it is because I'm in the construction industry, and so I know intimately the skills that are involved to get this thing from a lot full of trees to somebody moving in. Like there's a lot of work that takes place.
A lot of work and a lot of people, a lot of partners in play here.
Absolutely. And everyone's working toward the same common goal. And some guys are not necessarily as organized as others, but we're all working toward taking it from that to this.
Yeah, I always think of it like that. And I think it's a total team effort from, like I said, digging the holes right up to the keys going to the homeowner. And I think we all, and I think having a very, I would say I have a small group of partners I work with, and we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
So I probably could do more work if I really have the energy, I think, or
I could definitely build more homes if I
just,
want to. But like if I worked now, if I was grinding as hard now, looking for more work, more business, and growing my business like I did when I was 30.
Yeah.
I'd be much busier, but I was working 16-hour days.
And what does that
like
make?
7 days a week.
Like there's no value in that.
No, I had to do it.
Yeah.
I knew I had to do it at the time.
And we all do, and I did as well. But
I have no desire in doing that.
Once I got
now.
the engine up and running, and
That's right.
just trying to keep you and a few of my partners happy is a full-time job.
That's right.
Like trying to keep all the balls in the air.
Mm-hmm.
I manufacture product. I bring product in. I modify it. I have to get the color matches done. I have to arrange for the install. I have to go back and do touch-ups. So, I mean, we have a lot of moving parts and just wire one little piece of your house.
That's right.
So for me to say, well, I think I can take on, 3 more builders that build 30 homes each a year. Well, that's 90 staircases. There's only 200 work days in a year on average. So, I mean, where are we going to find,
Yeah, well,
where are we going to find enough resources to install an extra 100 staircases and keep you happy and my other builders that I work with happy?
Right.
It's just not going to happen. And I take pride in meeting deadlines. I take pride because I know money's ticking, the clock is ticking, and you guys have to close the house. I get it. I understand there's an expense involved here. So we really have to, if we're going to play on your team, we have to be a teammate, and we have to make it work. We can't just say, "Oh, we're down the road doing a job for John Doe," when we told you we'd have your job done because you have to close this house.
That always goes over well.
I know, but I forego some work, and I do the same for my other few builders I work for. I forego new people coming through the door, and I nicely tell them we don't have the resources,
right?
Because we really don't. It's it's just unfortunate, but
it would be similar. Not the same thing. It would be similar to, we quite often get requests from folks to do renovation work. People that we've built for in the past who perhaps want to finish a basement or build an addition on their house or whatever it might be. Or people who just want to, they want to get some renovation work done. They're looking for a reliable builder to do that.
Sure.
And I don't do renovation work. But it's not because we couldn't. Renovation work's no different than what we do. It's the same shit. It's just different address.
Cost.
Right? But I know that renovations are very time consuming on staff and project managers and so on, because you're renovating a home where people are living. So they are there. It's like if we were building a home and the homeowners were living in it the whole time. Right, and noticing everything that takes place. Oh, I thought you said the plumber was coming today.
Oh no,
it's 10 after 8. He's not here yet.
It's a totally different game.
Yeah. So it's not a game I'm interested in playing in. But it's not that we couldn't do it. It's just we're just not set up for that. So similar to your scenario, I would have to. Everything else would sort of suffer while we put those resources into dealing correctly with renovations. Right. So do you do much? Private work for homeowners rather than builders?
Originally, when I bought the business, that was the bread and butter, renovations. Because the day I bought the business was 2010, the construction industry stopped. It went downhill quick.
Yeah, that's right.
I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, that's right.
So, we promoted about renovations, and we've done a fair number of them. And it took me a long time to build up the right team of builders to work with, where I could see the repeat business, and then I could just say, look, this is what they're going to do this year. I can budget, I can forecast.
Mm-hmm.
And then for fillers, I'll do renovations when things aren't as rosy as they've been since COVID. But we're not saying we can't and won't do them. But again, we just finished doing a bunch of homes for the fires up in Tantall. And that took a lot of resources all summer.
Yeah.
Well, that was a year's work up there, rebuilding doing all the rebuilds. So things like that take priority over John Doe doesn't like his carpet anymore and he wants to get a hardwood staircase in. Well, even though that job would be important to me and it is every bit as takes, the same amount of focus, it's just not the day-to-day stuff, and I just don't have the resources to put the brakes on, your closings are a priority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting that you have it's a bit unique where we are in the construction industry, in the home building industry, because we don't have any major, national builders or or anyone here that's just banging out hundreds and hundreds of homes
No, we don't.
every year.
We don't have the population.
No. Well, yeah, we don't have the population, but we just don't build enough.
No.
There's no market case there yet because we don't build enough homes in Nova Scotia for any large scale builder like that. Like I'm not saying anything these guys don't know. You think if these large scale national builders thought there was enough business to make a business case, they'd be here.
Yeah, for
right.
sure.
They'd be here. So that's why we have a very unique thing
Very
here.
niche in the market.
Yeah.
Very niche market.
We're a market full of. In any other larger centers, like in the, Ontario's and BC's and Quebec's of the world, and especially if you go into Toronto's and Vancouver's, and so you get these larger centers where these national builders and so on are. Where ours is totally different. Like somebody like me would be, very small scale.
You'd be a weekend warrior.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be a very small scale, kind of completely off the radar person, as would like 90% of the people that are in our industry here because of the volume we do. But here, I'm probably in the middle of the pack, I guess, volume wise.
Yeah.
But I also don't know many builders here that I talk to who really are concerned about volume. It's not, they're just, they've laid out a runway and they have a product and service that they offer, and they're taking it as it comes at them, and they do a certain amount of marketing and advertising and real estate sales, and they build spec homes and model homes to keep things going. But there's nobody out there that just sort of has their arms around it all. And because even the builders who would build the most homes in this province, we still use the same tradespeople, but they're still bouncing around. Like nobody's big enough to just put their arm around their own group of trades and not let them get away.
If we had that kind of volume, they would have all in-house trades.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
But
we sub, as an industry here, we sub everything out. Everything is subbed out.
Yeah, it has to be because the business side of it doesn't work. Nobody can afford to have that many sub-trades on staff unless you're building 300 houses a year.
That's right.
So
and part of the reason they can't have that many employees or tradespeople on staff, obviously it's from a volume perspective, but along with those tradespeople, you would need to have managers and project managers and people to be schedulers and all these things. And so you'd have this enormous amount of overhead.
Yeah.
We don't have the volume.
It doesn't pay for it.
We don't have the volume for it.
It's economically, it's better for the homeowner and for the builder to share the sub-trades with the few other builders that we know of.
That's right.
And then everybody can get their projects done in a timely manner.
Yeah, and not just economically. The other thing it does for homeowners here, the advantage that homeowners and home buyers have here, is they get essentially some level of personalized or customized home building that in these other larger city centers, you'd have to go to a custom home builder and you'd pay a real premium for that. Whereas in our world, you're coming to myself or whatever other builders are on the street, and we're literally down to talking about, these guys are saying they're going to throw in a dishwasher, and would you guys throw in a dishwasher? And it's like in some of these other countries or some of these other provinces rather, we'd be going, throw in a dishwasher. We're a custom home builder. You want to do this or not? Right? Yeah. But here, everyone gets the advantage of some level of sort of customization or personalization, even at the subdivision track home builder level.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Because they're using the same tradespeople. So if a home builder who doesn't provide the same level of customization that I do has a client, and that client installs a staircase, they still get Duart Hardwood, Lee Hallett custom-built staircase that they get in my custom-built home by this builder who's not giving them, it was not a quote-unquote custom builder, but they're still getting that custom element.
Yeah,
so it's win-win. People here are getting, we overbuild homes here.
We overbuild.
Way overbuild them.
Yeah, we overbuild.
What is the standard here would be, I'm not going to say it's a tippy top because of course there are these architecturally designed, very high-end homes. But if you take a typical average home here and you compare it to a typical average home built by any of these large builders that build hundreds of homes a year in these other city centers,
there's
no comparison.
Yeah.
There's no comparison.
No, there's no comparison.
Right? Advantage, Maritimers.
Pricing is out to lunch now. A lot of that has to do with fees with government.
Yep.
A lot of that has to do with permits and things like that. But there should be some things that could be looked at there with the municipal and the provincial government.
You could appreciate this. I pulled Scotty actually asked me over the weekend. He sent me a text. He was building a home in Mount Uniacke, which is East Hants. I guess is the municipality. And he had just texted me. He's like, dude, how much is your building permit for, these houses that you're building over on in Beaverbank, for instance? He was just trying to get a gauge. I said, I'm not really sure off the top of my head, but so I looked it up just out of curiosity. There's a home that we build. Well, you're going to put the staircase in if you haven't already. The home that we have that we're building over in Beaverbank here in HRM, and then there's that exactly the same home that I'm building in Enfield, which is in East Hants. So it's a different municipality.
Yeah.
The two municipalities provide exactly the same service. You apply for the permit.
Yeah.
They do whatever it is they do to review it. They issue the permit, and then they perform their building inspections throughout the process as they do.
Yeah.
So there's no difference from there's no difference in what each municipality is providing to you for service. But one permit, the permit in East Hants, costs just under $600, and the permit in HRM costs just under $10,000. Exactly the same home.
Yeah.
But built by the same builder, presented from the same builder, in the same package, the same specs. Everything about it is the same, and then what they're going to provide is the same. The difference is you have this enormous bureaucracy on one side that has to charge you $10,000 because they can't survive otherwise. And then on the other side, you have a smaller bureaucracy that is clearly running more efficiently.
Yeah, and they're open for business in East Hants.
Right.
And they want you to build there. So here's your permit.
That's right. $10,000, man. It was like $9,800.
You should have a drive-through. You can drive through and get a permit.
It used to almost be like that.
Put
It
the
used to go
plan
up
in
to
one window.
Yeah, it used to go up to the system's way better in East Hants. Not only that, then I haven't even touched on the time frame. In East Hants, they issue your permit almost immediately, like building permit wise. It's within probably a couple days now. But there was a time when you would get it. You'd get your footing permit initially. You'd actually go up. You'd meet with the person who was the building. You'd set an appointment. It's like going to see the doctor.
Yeah.
You'd set an appointment, and you'd go up and meet with the guy, and you'd sit down, and he'd look at your plans, and you'd shoot the shit, and you go, what's going on here? And you'd talk about things. And then you'd leave with your footing permit. Like that same day, you could go put footings in the ground, right? Now, mind you, this is the guy, he was the building official guy, was also like the dog catcher and all this other shit. Right? But it doesn't matter. We were moving it along. I used to like that.
Yeah.
I used to like that.
Those days are gone.
He'd ask some questions about what's going on here. And then if something came up, right, the person who's involved in approving that permit is sitting right in front of you. You can have a conversation about, oh, hey, geez, I never thought about that, or I'll get that to you, or we'll make that note on the next set of plans, or whatever it might be. But that personal element definitely does not exist in HRM.
No.
You can't even get somebody on the phone here.
I was going to say,
on the phone here.
I tried. I have a rental unit. I tried to put a set of stairs up to the roof, to put a deck on the roof, because I had a good setup for that. And I tried to call for a permit, and I just kept getting bounced around, and I just gave up on it. I just got frustrated. I said, I can't deal with this.
No.
And I was trying to do it right. Most people would just go ahead and do it.
And most people just do it.
And they would just do it, not ask for permission.
Right.
And I was trying to do it right and get the notification on the side of the building.
Right.
Never happened.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we got some issues on that front. And which that part, if we're talking about bringing down the cost of housing, right? There's really only two places we can do that. It's not like any of the tradespeople working on site are going to just start coming to work for less, because
they're not going backwards.
No. All these guys also have mortgages to pay and gas tanks to fill and mouths to feed, so they're not going to go backwards.
No. And
I can tell you with absolute certainty that in the industry, from a home builder's perspective, we're not making any more margin than we ever made.
Same boat.
And neither are you.
No.
Your input costs continue to increase, but your margin is just a margin. It's a percentage, and you just got to. So if the cost of that staircase goes up by $500, then the invoice you send me is $500 more, and then I call you and grease you out. What the fuck's going on
ask
here?
why, but I mean, I can prove it on paper every time.
That's
It's
right.
just it's insurmountable some days when I look at I'm paying double and triple for some things.
Right.
Like my staircases have more than doubled since COVID. And as soon as the inflation hit and the diesel went up and then supply and demand, everybody was spending money on homes. Right. So everybody was home, panicking. The world was shutting down. Renovations were through the roof. So Atlantic Canada wasn't gaining favoritism on hardwoods to be sent out here. They were going everywhere around the world. So the prices just went through the roof. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And since things have calmed down, they didn't come back and say, "Look, guys, we were just kidding. Here's your whole price back." They just keep it there. So that's where it is. It's embarrassing, but it's it's a conversation that if you want the staircase, if you want the house, if you want the heat pump, if you want the ductwork, if you want everything is just went through the roof.
That's right.
So
Yeah. So there's a few areas where we can bring the costs down in general, but nothing would have an impact like taxes and fees.
Well, I'd like
if we
to know
get
the
taxes and
percentage
fees out of it.
when you build a house. What's the percentage? I heard a number once, 30%,
Yeah.
28, 26%.
Yeah, look, I ran through it before. I mean, there would be, I think I would actually like to see somebody really break it down. I'm sure somebody has done this, right? But so when I break it down, I'm doing it very simply. I have a spreadsheet with how many lines in it. Yeah, right. Yeah. So, I mean, we know exactly every invoice that we receive for that home.
Yeah.
And at the top, the first thing that happens is all these permits and fees and engineering and water fees and permit fees and ditch fees and environmental fees. And so all of that is in there at the forefront. So before we ever even show up to the site, it's tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Just for a single family home to get built. Now imagine.
Does that fee change with the size of the home?
It changes a bit, but not much. Like let's say if you built a 1,200 square foot home and then next door to it you built a 2,400 square foot home, it might be like there's an amount per square. There's an amount they charge per square foot. The person physically does.
But geography-wise,
that's not the big number. The big numbers are like, municipal water fee, and you hear about that. You hear about like Halifax Water jacking their.
Yeah.
Like there's been times where they have come out. There's been several times in the past number of years where they'll just announce, oh, by the way, we're just going to double that fee.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're going to put it on the cost of every home up front. And here's the kicker. Here's the part I love when you say, what the hell is up with doubling the fee for, your water fee?
Same service I received yesterday.
Right. And they'll say, well, it's because of the cost to when, the infrastructure to build these new developments. And also, that's interesting because the developer builds the infrastructure, runs all the water and sewer, pays for it out of their own pocket. Yeah. And then when it's all completely done and inspected by you guys at the municipality, they hand it over to you free of charge. And then you collect property tax on it from here on in, including the water fee that you charge to every house based on usage. Yeah. So you, as a municipality, you didn't incur any fees related to the infrastructure.
Didn't incur any cost.
Any costs.
Yeah.
You didn't incur them all.
Yeah, no,
that's all. The homeowner's paying for that in the cost of the lot that the builder had to purchase and then turn around and make part of the total equation. It's horseshit, man.
It is.
It's complete horseshit.
It's super frustrating, and it's no different than, it's a, you could go down the tunnel here about, the property taxes. And, I look at my building in Dartmouth on Main Street. I'm paying, $30,000 a year in property tax.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For what?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like I have to shovel my own sidewalk. Why?
Yeah, I know.
It's just insanity. It just blows my mind.
Yeah, and
they just send in a new one every year. Like it just keeps going up and up. Well, the value of your building went up. Well, I've been in the same building for 15 years. 20 years. I'm not. Where's the value?
I have a piece of property is vacant land. It's a commercial piece of property, but it's vacant. It's never been touched. Hasn't been developed. I haven't even applied to develop it. There's no activity whatsoever.
Yeah.
And in 2023, I think it was, not 24, but 23, I got my tax bill. My tax bill went up 407%.
Yeah. That's all right.
Nothing, nothing happened. Nothing changed. No. They just went, you know what, holy fuck, we're going to need some more money. Where can we get some more money? Oh, let's just tax the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, you could call them and ask them, but you won't get through because they won't answer.
No, of course not.
So, that's super frustrating.
Yeah, it is.
But when we get back to the stairs, the roofer, the pricing and the fees. The homeowners, kids today can't. I'm saving up now to buy my kids a house because they're not going to be able to afford a house. They can do all the right things. They can go to university. They can get educated. They can work part-time jobs.
That's right.
There's no way that they're going to have a hope to save up, whatever the percentage is the banks want for those kids to buy a house.
Yeah. Plus, imagine where the prices are in 20 years.
A starter house now in today's is like $800,000.
Right.
Like if I told my dad you could buy this little bungalow for $800,000, he'd roll over in his grave.
Yeah,
it's like that. You could buy a city for that in Cape Breton where I grew up. It's like $800,000 for a beginner home.
I know.
Like kids, you know.
Yeah, and it's to me, when you look forward, if you talk about our kids now or your children now, young, you know, if you talk to anybody, if you're talking like, okay, 20 years from now, maybe 25 years from now, when these young children today are ready to start looking at buying homes. I mean, look at where prices are now compared to 25 years ago. Go back to like 2000.
Yeah.
Right? Even when I first started building, 2005 or 6, I built a number of homes, turnkey, including land, for under $200,000.
Yeah.
And that same home now, size-wise, and you know, as far as features, would be, like you said, probably 800.
Yeah.
So it's like a 400% increase. So if they're 800 now, what are they going to be? $3 million in 25 years?
It'll be like Vancouver. Like, I mean, it's off the charts.
It's just not feasible. That's just not even doable. So the only way that we just have to get it turned around.
We have to turn it around. I mean,
But it has to happen like not you and I. We can't. There's not much. You and I can't do it at a personal level.
We're not. I can't get $300,000 out of my, $7,000 staircase. But there has to be, a team effort, and everybody has to play ball at some point. But I think it all starts with,
Well, people have to.
It all starts with the government.
Well, yes, absolutely, and and the government has to do what is in. We have to cut the shit with what we do now, where we make these decisions that are based on nothing. There's nothing to support these decisions that they make when the math is there. Like the math is there.
Math doesn't lie.
That's right. We know what's going on. We know the direction it's heading. We know where we were, where we are, and where we're heading. And it's not good. We have to correct this.
I mean, it's going to be at some point where everybody's going to live in a tiny home in the middle of by the airport somewhere, and that's all they can afford.
Yeah,
and they're going to commute back and forth. The city's going to push out, keep going. I mean, that's financially speaking about the future for kids. I would say they're doomed right now. We continue on this trajectory.
Yeah, that's right. No, I would agree. I would agree with you. I would agree with you, especially when we're gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't mean because we're the saviors, but
no.
If we have a few bucks, but then our generation's gone and the couple generations behind us are left with no money, and prices are even higher and times are even tougher, then it's not. We don't want to see that happen. We need to get it straightened out now, man. I think our group now has to get much harder about demanding that our government at all levels. It's not just obviously right now all the talk is federal government with this gong show that's going on, right? But But we have, even at the city level, man, we have to apply more pressure for the people that we elect and then those who they appoint and hire to do a better job.
Right?
Because they're doing a terrible job.
They're doing a terrible job.
Right.
They're managing my money and they're not doing very well with it.
That's right.
And they're managing my kids' money.
That's right. They're taking your money.
They're taking my money.
And they're managing it on behalf of your kids, but they're doing a terrible job.
They're doing a terrible job. If they were, if it was a private enterprise, I'd fire that guy.
Of course.
This guy, boom, boom.
Of course, man.
Like here's your, they don't. Yeah. Anyway, that's a whole other. It's a whole other
conversation. But it relates. But it's just so obvious to us in the construction business. That's why I think we find ourselves talking about it a lot because we see it every day. Like it's hitting us in the face every day.
We get hit with it every day because we hear from the homeowners about the pricing,
and we see it coming in on an invoice that's gone up 8% from, and it already went up 7% 6 weeks ago, and so we keep and it's not that. I know that when somebody sends a price increase, for the most part, there are some exceptions, but for the most part, when the suppliers or so on give us a heads up, hey, the cost of X is going to go up 7% next month. I know it's not because they're making 7% more on their product next month, right? It's whatever it is. It's prices have gone up because of fuel costs or carbon taxes or supplier issues or whatever it might be. It's costs go up. And then everything's just a pass through to the homeowner.
Demand's a big one.
Yeah.
Demand sometimes outpaces supply, obviously, especially with the COVID, things went south. But
during COVID, there was exceptions there. Certainly during COVID, there were people who were taking advantage. There's no question about
100%.
that. So let's talk about the heating and ventilation stuff. I'll just clarify for anybody that's listening in our world, homeowner-wise. We did at one point. You and I worked together on the ventilation and
we did
heat pump and home heating front. It's been a number of years now, before COVID. You don't provide that stuff to us now, but you still do that. for some other
I
builders?
work for one builder now, providing residential heating
Okay.
and ventilation.
Okay.
And that has to do with, well, a couple of things. The builder I work with is substantially busy, substantially more busy than the couple other people I did work with. So he's chewing up, or she's chewing up, all of our resources
Sure.
on that front. And that was my original background, was the HVAC.
Right.
So, when I graduated high school, I didn't know what to do. I went to vocational school at the time and took refrigeration and air conditioning.
Okay.
I moved to Ontario. I was working in the trade as an apprentice. I broke my neck. I came back here, stayed in the rehab center. Broke my neck in a car accident, not working in the trade. Let's clarify that. And then I went to St. Mary's, took commerce, did not finish my degree due to financial reasons. So I ended up working at a ventilation heating supplier.
Okay.
So then they educated me with some opportunities. They gave me some education opportunities to take some design courses and heating, ventilation, and I pursued my engineering technology. And I got that through that company. That was the Wilsons at Arturo, Kerr Controls. So I worked with those guys for 13 years, and I learned a lot about HVAC heating, design, in-floor heat. And I just kind of ended up working with a local contractor in the HVAC business when I left that business.
When you and I met back, like, I don't know when that would have been, Lee. Like probably right around the time I started building homes. Were you with?
You were just getting started.
Yeah, I think I was
you were
just getting
selling
going.
homes.
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
I met you on the practice green in Ashburn.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Putting green.
Yeah. And so I remember shooting the shit at the old course one day talking about that. So were you working with? Was that East Wing back then, or were you?
That would have been East Wing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You were probably just early on with them.
Early on with them. But my background was, as I just said, came from that. I came from that background,
Right.
and then I just said, "Look, I'm looking for something different." So, the owner of East Wing is a friend of mine, also Don McKenzie. He offered me the job doing sales with him, and at one point, I was talking to him about becoming a partner in East Wing.
Sure.
But then he had an original partner, and he decided to buy him out himself, which made sense. I would have did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, well, geez, I have to do something else. So this opportunity came along with the staircase business. I'm already in the industry, yada, yada, yada. Here we are.
Do you do any private work on the ventilation heating
Very
side?
little. I'll do a little ductless mini split for a
Okay.
homeowner, a friend of mine.
Heater up good?
Here or there. Heater up good. But I just don't have time. Like the staircase business, honestly, is old time consuming. And
Sure.
mostly that's my fault because I'm OCD about control and getting things done right. Because I learned early on that if you want something done right, and I just have that old mentality where I just like to keep my eyes on everything and make sure the people that trust me to do their work keep trusting me and let me do their work.
Yeah.
So, I take great pride in keeping everybody happy.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why we're kind of, this is all I can handle, and this is all I want to handle right now at this point.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I think it's, I would say at times when I was building the most homes, which we don't currently build the most, we've built more volume in the past than we build now. But there were times in my career where I was bumping up against a point where we were building as many homes as we could build without me taking my eye off of the things that I don't want to take my eye off, the quality control things that I don't want to take my eye off. And I realized at that point I'm not interested in going beyond that point. Right.
Yeah.
It's the law of diminishing returns there anyway. You start getting away from your bread
absolutely.
and butter.
When you start with the headaches and the callbacks, and then
Yeah.
you're looking at your bottom line thinking, wow, that was not worth it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
I see that with a lot of smaller companies. They grow too fast. And next thing you know, they have too much overhead. And then there's a slow week or two, and they're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, growing your business is interesting. Like, people always assume, I shouldn't say they always assume, but many people often assume that any business owner is always looking to grow their business, but that's not necessarily the case. You get to a point, many of us get to a point where it's like, well, no, what I'm looking to do now is maintain my business.
Maintain is the big thing.
We're on cruise control here, and we're going to pull in for pit stops as needed and so on.
Yeah, that's so important to me. Like, I think, if I can't say it enough, if you do a good job with your partners that you're working for now, and they're doing well, and everybody's happy, just keep it rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have no, grand illusions of being the biggest and the best, and I do the most volume. I'm just happy staying under the radar and keeping my small little team happy. And
I don't think there's a
seems to
lot of
work.
that in our business. I don't think inside of the industry, I don't think there are a lot of industry members and business owners and so on that really care about who's doing the most and so on. But outside of the business, there's this misconception that we all care about that. Because people, and I see it because it's almost the first question everyone will ask. You're on the golf course, you get paired up with someone you haven't met, you're at a social event somewhere, somebody realizes you're a home builder or whatever business you're in, stair building. Almost the first thing they'll ask you is, so how many homes do you build? Right? It's like they need something to measure. They need something to put their finger on.
Yeah, that's right.
That they can stack you up against
nature. I think that's human nature. So, you played hockey? How many goals you score?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
That's true, yeah, I guess.
Stats? I think
you're
that's
right. It probably is human nature. But I guess the human nature of it is to assume that, from the outside looking in, to assume that we measure ourselves based on number of homes built or number of goals scored.
Yeah.
Same idea. It's not that they're looking for a huge number, because oftentimes I could be playing golf with a guy and the conversation comes up and, how many homes did you build last year? And my answer is always the same. Like, honestly, man, I don't know. I don't keep track of it like that. And it's not, and so to anybody listening, it doesn't mean that I'm irresponsible and don't keep track of the finances of things. I keep a closer eye on the finances than anybody I know, but I don't track it that way. Part of the reason is that, first of all, it takes a year or more in some cases to build a home. So it's not that easy to put a cutoff date.
Yeah, there's no finish line on homes, because every time you do something,
right,
there's too many. Yeah, it's floating.
So you could measure it. So you could say, well, how many building permits did I pull last year? I could look that up. How many homes did I hand the keys over for? I could look that up.
Yeah.
But that's never really on my radar that way. So I don't have that answer off the top of my head.
Yeah,
but I'll give some. I'll generally tell folks, it's probably last year it was probably 15 or 20 or 25 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what I say. If I say anything more than 10, the reaction is always, oh God, that's a lot. So it's not that they're looking for you to say, I build 100 homes a year.
Yeah.
Because they realize, many people, even when you say, I built 15 homes last year, like 15, wow, that's a lot. It's a lot of homes, dude.
It's a house,
and
a
it
house
is
a
a
month.
lot, man.
That's a house,
15,
that's over a house a month.
That's right. 15 homes is again, if you're referring to a national builder that builds 500 homes or 1,000 homes a year, then 15 homes is nothing. But if you're somebody that has half a dozen staff members, then 15 homes is a lot.
That's a lot,
right? Or 20 or 24 or whatever it turns out to be.
Yeah, you're about 24, I figure.
Yeah, it's somewhere like
around there.
It's somewhere
I can look
in
it
that
up pretty
range.
easy.
It will fluctuate with
foundations.
Yeah, it'll fluctuate with it could even be the timing of when the next street is going to open up for the lots to be available, or the next development's going to open up.
The better question would be, how many foundations did you pour last year?
Yeah, well, that would be easier for me to probably off the top of my head go, this many, right? Yeah. Like I said, it's probably easier to say how many homes I started last year in a certain period of time, right?
Yeah, I mean, and you're really good at your closing dates. You're pretty accurate on those. So, and the bubble now, what does it take? 12 months to build a house?
Yeah, we tell. That's 16? What we tell folks. Like
16?
Well, no, it wouldn't be more than that. It wouldn't be. We we closed 3 or 4 homes in December, and every one of them wasn't supposed to be finished till the new year. We were ahead of schedule, and I think they had 12-month closing dates, but they ended up closing in 9 or 10 months. So we're probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 12 months, depending on the level of customization and the size of the home.
How does that work when you close early? Can you get paid early, or can the homeowner, if they're renting somewhere or staying with their in-laws, can they say, no, you told us this date? Can they
Well, we just gave them the option. Like, so for instance, we had in West Bedford, we had a number of homes that were on the street that were all the same, and they almost all sold at the same time. It was like half a dozen homes that sold almost like within weeks of one another, the same home plan, I should say. And so the home was going to be ready early, so we communicated ahead of time with our customers to say, by the way, I know your closing date's not till January 15th, but if you'd like to move in, we're going to have it ready for November 15th. If you don't want, it's no problem. It'll still be ready January 15th. No harm, right? But if you'd like to move in earlier, and so 3 out of 4 of those people said, yeah, we would definitely like to move in earlier. So they give their notice a little earlier where they're renting, or they tell their parents, hey, we're out of here early, whatever the case is.
Okay.
And they moved in early. It's not that we say it's ready, so you got to take it earlier. It's just an option available to them.
Okay.
It's better than saying, hey, your house isn't going to be ready when you thought it was going to be.
Oh, that's the other one. Yeah.
That one's tough.
That's a tougher one.
That doesn't happen to us very often. Handful of times, or I shouldn't say handful, 2 or 3 times maybe during COVID, we had to push a date by some of those higher end custom stuff. You know, we did a couple of those homes with those Hollywood staircases in Bedford. Just, you know, like you said, instead of it being a 3-day staircase install, it's a 3-week staircase install.
3-week installs.
And that's because we added that after the fact. So we had a closing date, and the homeowner's adding more stuff, and it's pushing the timeline down the road a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? But I would say sort of 10 to 12 months for construction nowadays. Could be less though. Could be 8 to 10 depending on.
That's fair.
How it is.
That's a good. It used to be, remember there was a day when it was 6 months.
Dude, there was a day when there was 4 months. But even for the first few years that I built, like even for the first 2 or 3 years, definitely closing dates were less than 6 months.
Well,
I would never tell someone 6 months.
I remember the pressure when I first was doing the HVAC and before the staircase business. The pressure with, I used to work for Scotia Homes, do their heat pumps up in Enfield. And the pressure to get the stuff done because they were giving closing dates that weren't realistic. And we were like, what?
Yeah,
and I'd be going into these houses saying, how are you going to close this house? Like,
that's right.
It's just nowhere near ready.
That's right. I think where
that
some
might
of
have
that
been part of their downfall.
Yeah, I think where some of that came from, I'm quite certain where some of that came from was the fact that part of getting the sale was saying, oh, well, no, we'll get it done for you in 6 months. Oh, that builder's saying 7 months, we'll get it done in 5.5. And then people go, yeah, that's great. And then they sign it. Before you know it, it is a 7 month closing date or 8 month closing date.
Do you remember the days at the home show and you were there waiting for people to come up to you with their plans?
Yeah. I did that a few years.
They were tough days.
Yeah, I did that a few years. Actually, one year we did actually find a client there and we built a home for them down in Chador. That's where we met them at the home show. And actually we ended up building a home for them and a home for their mom. They both lived in the...
Yeah, those home shows, they were fun. They were fun, but they were a lot of work. There was a lot of people coming through there.
It was too much work. We did it a few years and then it was like, nah, this doesn't... But, it also... People just... There was a time. If you imagine back in the 80s or 90s, home shows were probably huge.
That's,
Pre-internet, pre-social media, pre-websites, right?
Yeah.
But nowadays, people are like, go to a home show.
That's the same in my business. Like, people will be saying, can I come in your showroom? I'm like, well, do you want to see some kids' toys? Because that's all that's in there. I said, I have some antiquated colonial posts that you're not going to put in your house.
That's right.
I said, the best thing to do is go on the website or our Instagram and look at some jobs we just did for XYZ builders, and then you can see the product.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we can communicate over the phone or back and forth on text or email.
Or send them into a home that one of your builders has built and just say, go check out our finished product over and see Stonewater's lottery home that they have open on the weekends. And
100%.
Check out those couple of
videos. You just, since COVID, that was great also because I could eliminate a position in the showroom. I don't have to have people knocking on the door now. Coming in trying to look at a spindle. Say, no, you want to see a staircase.
That's right. So what you did there is what a responsible, sensible business owner would do, kind of going back to what we expect our government to do, is that you looked at the situation and said, I have to reduce some costs here, and I'm going to do that by eliminating something that is of no use. It doesn't provide any value to my business.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get rid of this position that existed. I'm going to save this company some money and therefore make it more feasible to continue on.
100%.
Which is what we need. Yeah. Which is how our government's supposed to operate.
Well, that's, when you're looking at making payments for your mortgage and everything else, you have to make decisions. So something has to give.
That's right.
It's just common sense.
But nothing ever gets cut in the government.
My business degree at SMU.
Right.
But I own a business.
That's right.
And I'm making it work.
Yeah.
So something's working.
Well, you're not, and that's good. You're certainly not the only guy out there operating a business without a business degree. But that's because you're a smart, competent person and you're able to solve problems. And what the other thing you're good at, which for anyone who owns a business, is that you're just good at building relationships and maintaining relationships with people, especially in our business where you have to have these ongoing relationships for years on end with people who you rely on, they rely on you, and you work together. And it's like you said, you're a team. Not to sound corny, but you're a team.
No, that's true. I mean, it's not a cliche. Like, it's so true. Like, you're my partner.
Right.
I'm your partner.
But we keep each other honest.
I can't make my business work without you.
That's right.
And you can't make your house close without me.
That's right.
I mean, you can get another stair builder, but you might not like what they're doing. You may, you don't want to, maybe you don't want to start a new relationship.
That's right.
I don't want to start a new relationship. It's easier to keep, besides we're personal friends over and above that, but so are a few of my other builders. They're personal friends.
Absolutely. And there's lots of people that do work for me who have been working for me for, from the beginning, who are not personal friends I like them.
Yeah.
I respect them, and I have lots of time for them. I love talking with them and shooting the shit for a minute, and then okay, see you next time I run into you on a job site. But we're not playing golf together or having any conversation or grabbing a steak or any of that stuff. Right?
No, but I think it's important, like you say, the relationship part is it's
huge,
trust.
man.
It's like
huge, man.
The only difference between me and the guy down the street is how I get along with you.
Right.
Because my friend Matt Porter, our CP, he delivers the same product I deliver. He does a good job.
Sure.
He has his relationships. I have my relationships. We know each other. We recognize that.
That's right.
It works.
Yeah, you're not out trying to eat each other's lunch.
No, I don't want to trade jackets. It's
Right.
like, why? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's right.
He's making it work. I'm making it work.
Right.
So I think that's fair. And
Yeah, I think in our industry, as home builders and any contracting business, I guess, is that, I mean, you can't overestimate or overemphasize the value of having those relationships with people that you work with. And that means, so if we pick up the phone and call somebody, they answer the phone. If we say, listen, we need you to go to this address tomorrow morning, or we need you to do this by the end of the week, or whatever it might be. Because we're not normally that specifically demanding of folks. But you have that relationship where you're like, listen, I know this sucks.
Yeah.
But I need you to go do this.
I got to get this done.
And you go, okay, man, I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Because someday you'll call me and say, look, the stain isn't quite right on the stairs, but take a look at it. And I might say, yeah, you're right. It's not quite right. But I'm not going to make you tear this staircase out, because that seems like a waste of $8,000 for the sake of it being a little off from where it was. Because we all know that once the house is built and you put the furniture in it and everyone's going up and down the stairs, no one's going to pay that much attention to it anymore anyway. And only you and I notice it.
Yeah.
Or maybe only I noticed it and brought it up
to
you, and I'm a little pickier.
But it's a conversation worth having.
That's right.
And it's, and I think, when you're face to face with somebody and you say, look, I made a mistake here. Let's talk to the homeowner, see if we can sell it. If they like it, if they're dead against it, well, then we have to think of something else. Right. But let's
in our case, it wasn't. Yeah,
let's not be sneaky. Let's make everybody aware of it.
That's right.
And then see, how this goes. I have had a few of those meetings in my tenure at the staircase company, Duart Hardwood. But
sure. And you come up with a solution. Everybody can live with, and nobody is so wronged by the solution that they think this is the end of this relationship for me.
Yeah.
If we go there, this is it. And so on the flip side of that coin is, a few years ago, I had a framer that did some work for us for a number of years, and he's framed since then, he's framed for us since then, but probably not as much as he would have. And he's a good framer, right? And I it's not like I'm buddies with him or we converse outside of the job site, but he's a good framer. They did a good job. And there was a job one time when they were framing a home for us, and one of his guys on site, they asked for the tubs to be delivered. And so for anyone that doesn't know, when the home gets to the framing stage, we have to, for any of these one-piece tub shower enclosures, we got to send them to the site at the framing stage because they're too wide to be put in later. So we got to get them in place, and the framers will frame around them and then move on. So the framers will let us know, hey, can you send the tubs out on Thursday morning, because we're gonna put them in Thursday and keep moving. So as per usual, he requested the tubs. We sent the tubs out, and at some point during that day, whatever it was that went on, one of his guys dropped one of the floor joists from the second floor, and it went down and landed on top of this tub and just smokes it and crushes the top of it. It's destroyed. No big deal. They make lots of tubs, right? So another $1,000 or whatever it costs for this unit. But if something like that happens, to me, it's like there's not really even any conversation to be had. There's just, hey man,
I made a mistake.
I screwed up. Boys dropped a truss and joist, and it fell down, crushed your tub. We're gonna need another one sent out, but I'll look after it. I'll take it off the bill. That's how that conversation should go. I don't understand how it should go any other way. Then the time came to send the invoice, and so he sent the invoice, and before that we had the conversation with him and said, look, man, so we're just gonna have to. It's no big deal. We'll look after getting rid of the tub. There was costs there. I had to send a guy over there in a truck.
Yeah, I get it.
Two guys. Put it in the back of a pickup and take it somewhere and put it in a dumpster and get rid of it.
That's free.
That's free. Yeah, they had nothing to do that day. They were just sitting around.
They were at Tim Hortons.
Yeah. So no matter what, I'm eating costs here, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
And all I wanted him to do was pay for the tub that he destroyed, and take it off the whatever $16,000 framing invoice or whatever it is. And originally he agreed to that. Yeah, no problem. Of course I'll do it. Then he sends the invoice, and of course the invoice doesn't have that removed, and we let him know, just FYI, you forgot to subtract the top. Oh, well, that's not my fault. And then here we go, right? And then the conversation starts like, dude, well, whose fault is it? Oh, well, I shouldn't have to pay for that. And then it was, well, if you're going to, and I even said to him, this is what makes it even worse. I said, look, man, I'll tell you what. We're not going to back charge you for the tub. Okay, no big deal. But we have this other home that you're supposed to go frame. Just as long as you move from where you are to the next one, you don't make us chase you around because, it's pre-sold. We got to keep moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair, man. Okay, cool. When we're done here, next week we'll move over to that lot. What do you think happened? He disappeared.
He didn't show up.
After I paid him his full invoice.
Yeah.
And not subtracted the
He got a job making more money down the street.
That's right. So he disappears on it. So that would be an example of how not to do.
There's a guy that doesn't understand relationships.
Exactly.
He doesn't. He
knows how to frame
the
a house.
Forest for the trees. He doesn't understand. Hey, Jesus, Ryan, he's been in business for 20 years.
That's right.
Pays his invoices. I don't know. This looks pretty good to me.
That's right. He's skilled labor-wise. He has a skill, and I appreciate the skill he does. I can't do what he does. I can't frame the house like he does.
Yeah.
But he's lacking the skill when it comes to relationship maintenance seeing the big picture and not cutting your nose off to spite your face and these things. Like that part he doesn't get, and you can't make somebody get that, by the way. They either get it or they don't. I don't think that's something that comes later. I think you either understand that.
I think I laugh when I hear you say that, because it's either you get that or you don't.
There's a lot of value in dealing with, from a business perspective, in dealing with people that are rational, logical thinking, reasonable people who can put themselves in your shoes and vice versa. All right, man. Well, listen, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Anything you want to throw out there before we wrap it up?
I just like to thank you and your support over the years, and I really appreciate it. And I'm glad I could come out and talk about the up and down world of stairs.
Thanks for coming, man. Let's definitely, we'll be talking lots before that, but let's get in the golf course this year.
Appreciate it.
Go through another year.
Okay. Thanks buddy. Cheers.